Okay, so for this part of the lesson, we're going to have a look at how we calculate the probability of independent events. And to help us do this, we can use what is known as the AND rule. So to start off with, can you write out the questions here and then use your knowledge organizer to try and answer as much as you can? And then when you're ready for me to go through it, hit play and I'll show you how to do them. Right then, so for question 1, we want to work out what are independent events. Okay, so independent events are 2 or more events that can happen with no effect on the other one. Okay, so for example, something can happen and it has no implication or effect on something else happening. For example, Ben handing in his homework today and Irene passing her driving test today would be completely independent of one another because one doesn't have an effect on the other. Okay, then we want to be able to calculate the probability of independent events. So to do this, we have the AND rule, which helps us. So it's the probability of event A and B happening can be calculated by working out the probability of event A multiplied by the probability of event B. And you will see some of the notation using this little N shape. That's just another way in maths using set notation to say AND. Okay, so I'll pop that here. When you see that shape, it's the same thing as AND. And therefore, a biased dice has a probability of 0.2 of landing on a 6. The dice is rolled twice. If you think about it, when you roll a dice, okay, the second roll it has no effect on the first and vice versa. Okay, what's the probability that 2 6s are rolled? So using our probability notation, it's the probability of getting a 6 and a second 6. And that can be calculated using the probability of getting a 6 multiplied by the probability of getting a 6. And therefore, from the question, we know the probability of getting a 6 is 0.2. And we're going to multiply that by 0.2 again. And that will give us 0.04. So just be careful that you don't put down 0.4 at that point. You can use a calculator to help you work these out, but I would hope you can recognize 0.2 times 0.2 is 0.04. And then if we have a look at part B, what's the probability that neither roll is a 6? The first thing we need to think about on this one is the probability of something not being a 6. Okay, and we know that probability always adds up to 1. So therefore, it's 1 take away 0.2, which tells me the probability of not getting a 6 would be 0.8. And then I can calculate the probability of not a 6 and, so I'm going to use my set notation on this one, not a 6 is the probability of not getting a 6 multiplied by the probability of not getting a 6. And we've just worked out the probability of not getting a 6 is 0.8 multiplied by 0.8, which will give me an answer of 0.64. Okay, so there's a set of questions for you to have a go at on the AND rule. Remember to try and write your answers down and take a photo and let me see that on the Google Classroom when you've finished. Make sure you're marking your work as you go and ask if you have any questions.